Hello guys, today I want to talk about the proximal row carpectomy. Since there is not so much information about it, and when this hits you up, it's not like you have many choices. You have maybe four corner fusion versus proximal row carpectomy, or maybe just a proximal row carpectomy, and the last operation, the last surgery, I think is the total fusion. That means zero mobility, only pronation, supination. And when this hit me up, I said, whoa, what the fuck. The history of my trauma is that I had a broken scaphoid, and the doctors that casted me that time and investigated were not hand specialists, and they did not observe anything strange that I needed the surgery with the Herbert screw, the fixation screw of the scaphoid, and they just casted it for a while, for 3 months, and then after that I realized my hand was not completely healed and was slightly different. Then I went to the doctors again, but I had pretty strong arms with fiber, and they thought it's okay, just needed to wait. And I said okay. I'm a skater for 12 years. I do athlete, and I was training also in calisthenics for my skating performance to be better. And I couldn't accept something like this, 3 bones out, and I was mad and furious and sad. Then I started investigations after I got some sort of instability, but in a period of 4 years I had almost no problem. Just I couldn't fall. I didn't want to fall. I didn't have the radial deviation, but that was all. I had 90%. I was 90% using my hand. I went to the doctors in these years, but like I said, they say, oh, it's okay, just do physiotherapy, and I say, I'm in physiotherapy school, I know it's something wrong in there, but they didn't have the idea to tell me, go make some more investigations, REM, IRM, or how do you say, CT, computer tomograph, and they just did the X-ray. And after 4 or 5 years, I got a little bit skinnier, and I went outside to do my push-ups, and I did some extension, and then the instability appeared. All the things were kind of held like this, all the bones, but after I got skinnier, all the muscle weakened and the tendons and let loose, and my bones fold. And I knew it's something bad. I went to the investigation. I'm from Romania, and I searched for a hand specialist, and it was very hard for me to find, but I found it. And the rest of the guys who saw me before I found this guy were like, damn, this is what a hand. How could you live with this hand so long? If they saw me what I can do with that hand, they probably go mad. But that's not where I want to be. After hearing I have to do this PRC, proximal row carpectomy, I started investigation on myself, and I learned all the surgeries possible, and I wanted the best for me so that I can continue my athlete activities. And I waited for this guy to go somewhere in Spain at some congress of the hand, and show my case to other big doctors from all around the world, and get the best indications, and then have the surgery here. Oh well, I trusted that guy, but the problem is I waited so long for the surgery. Since my bad instability came, I waited so long for this surgery, for like 5 months, and my hand was completely my arm was completely atrophied like a stick. And I did the surgery, the parache, because I had how to say this diagnosis. It was transcaphoid perilunate luxation fracture. That means I had a scaphoid fracture, unhealed. It was in two pieces. I had the lunate, the bone from the center. I had it dislocated in my median nerve, right here, and in my tendons, in my flexor tendons, and the triquetrum from here was also fractured, and I didn't know about that. That means that the bone sitting in the middle, the lunate, did not have the support from the scaphoid with the ligament, and did not have the support from the triquetrum, and the lunate got dislocated by this cause, and bring with him the other two fragments from the bones. So my wrist was collapsed, was a mess. I didn't want to move it at all. I didn't want to do nothing. I was just keeping it in a cast, and I waited for the surgery. It was so painful. So I don't know, I was just waiting for something to happen. Then the doctor came. I entered the surgery. It was fast, like 1 hour maybe. But my only option was the proximal row carpectomy, because it was so messy. No four corner fusion available. I wanted the four corner fusion because the four corner fusion keeps the length of the palm, the wrist, and maybe you can put more pressure with it because you have the lunate in its place. I did the parache, the proximal row. I can say it was painful. After the surgery, not the same pain as before, but I think I needed maybe 2 months to feel better, and in 3 months I think I was pretty okay with the pain and everything. Right now I'm like in 5 months after the surgery. I feel pretty good. I cannot do, I know, anything that implies weights, big weights, but about this time it's starting to feel normal. I mean, I was asking myself, I was asking the surgeon, I was asking everybody who could have given me some information, but no one could tell me something sure. And I just had good nutrition, sleeping good, physiotherapy as much as I could, not too much, not too good. Right now I don't have big mobility, as you can see, is no big mobility, but I had some sort of complication when the surgeon pulled out the bones and the fragments, because they were pretty much destroyed. They were not in full pieces. He couldn't pull out everything because it meant damage to my wrist, just cutting and pulling, and everything was pretty fold here, and the surgery, as you can see, is here, and he did the best intervention he could have done, and that small fragments, by the time I was healing, I was in a cast, they needed the body to absorb them, but instead of absorbing, I did some calcification, and the spaces between the bones that are now in the wrist, remains in the wrist, they got stuck. They interfere with the movement. The articular capsule got the calcification and interfere with the movement. In my first week, I think I had no movement. It was like Finger were okay, nothing, but I was feeling like I had a full fusion, not a proximal row carpectomy. I did recovery for 2 months. Then the doctor told me to meet, and we did an old school method. He did some anesthesia in the hand, in the articular capsule, then basically pulled it until the calcification broke. I have my movement now, and probably this is gonna be. I have no flexion, maybe 10 grades. It's no flexion, and more extension, as you can see. But it's no normal movement because the bones are being pulled out, and then the hand is pulled a little bit like this, put it in the best position possible, and it's not actually my zero position. The comfortable position is not being like straight. It's a little bit like this, as you can see. Now the new shape of the hand. Yeah, those bones are pretty important, and this is a change. This is a change in doing things. I do not recommend this surgery unless you need it. I mean, you need to know that the hand is gonna be shorter. You need to know that the recovery is not that easy as the protocol, the operator protocols on the internet shows. It's not easy at all. Maybe if you get the surgery at a certain point, the perfect point in time where you need it, and you really do it, then maybe the outcome can be faster and better. But as later as the intervention comes, as harder the recovery is. My recovery was not easy, but I'm young. I'm 26-year-old, and I have good cardio. My blood flow is okay, and I just I knew what I had to do to get the best results as fast as I can. But they were not fast, and even now, I just 5 months, and I can say now I feel okay, but my force is weak. Now let's study my hand a little bit. Said I have all arm atrophied. I've got it back, but it's not the same grip strength. Like you can see, the tendons is not the same grip strength. I don't want to force the grip. It takes time, and probably it will take 1 year, 2 years until I can hang on a bar and do my pull-ups, because that's what I want to do. Push-ups are pretty much compromised. Maybe if you do it in the fist, if that feels comfortable in time. Maybe if you do it in fingers, or maybe if you have a bar and you put your hand on it and you do it like this, because the pressure goes exactly on the radius and on the ulna. And I want to say some advices about this proximal row carpectomy. First of all, it's not reconstruction, it's a surgery, it's a salvage procedure. So if this comes up to you, I think you don't have many choices. The best thing to do with the fractures and the problems and sprains and everything is to heal them, to go to the doctor as soon as possible, so that the anatomy won't modify and they won't need to do other type of surgery like this Perece salvage procedure. It's best to have your own body, but sometimes it happens, and I want to say this: it takes pretty much no, let's say it like this: if you people say it hurts, it does not hurt, it's like this, like that. But if you have lived with something in the hand, with the pain for years, then after the proximal carpectomy, you can expect the pain release, and then you will say, oh, I'm much better. Yes, of course you're much better. But if we're talking about my case, when I had my whole wrist was a mess, but I somehow God gave me the ability to still use it. And after the surgery, I was not interested in the pain, I was interested in the ability. And the abilities are taken. The pain is taken, but with the abilities. Now I have to use my hand at certain angles so that the pressure won't be bad. Why I'm saying this? The contact now between the radius and the carpal bones is maybe 30% of what it was. That means pressure is a lot worse now than before. And how I feel, let's study a little bit. I feel like the trapezium bone, which now trapezium and the other called almost the same, trapezoid and trapezium, are now taking place instead of the scaphoid. The scaphoid is very important bone in the body, in the wrist. And capitate is on the center instead of lunate. And I think the pisiform now went a little bit back, and I think he gets a little pressure now. What can I say is, when I'm opposing, I'm picking things, I'm putting pressure, you need this area and this area to oppose. Now you need a strong thumb and a strong point of pressure, and now this point is way smaller. You have to be gentle for a while. I don't know, maybe it was my case because I had the atrophy, and I was feeling everything deeper. Now with a little bit of muscle, I feel a lot better. But in the first months was horrible. I was doing only the easiest exercises. But now it's better. So you have to be attention of how you use your hand, of the angles. It's just my case, but I think it's for everybody almost the same. I don't know if it depends on how much arthrosis you have in there. I have arthrosis, radial arthrosis, but I don't feel it. In the beginning, like I said, with those calcification, I felt like the whole wrist is arthrosis, but now time passed and I feel pretty good. This movement, even if it's small, it feels more natural than before. So I'm expecting to get back on the skateboard, but I'm 90% sure that my hand cannot withstand the force, because first of all I can't. It's not the full extension, so you can't put it down. That's for sure. I don't know, maybe you are lucky with more mobility, but in my opinion, I know what do you prefer? Cannot pick 2 kilograms and have full mobility, or to have less mobility and you can use your hand almost as before. I prefer the force and the grip and a little mobility, because it sucks to lose your abilities. Like I said, the way you look things differs from the point you've been before the surgery. If you are an athlete, this is gonna look to you like a sucking problem. If you are an old man and you've dealt with the pain for a long time, this is gonna be very good for you. So I think surgery is not for young people, of course. It's a surgery, it's a salvage surgery. It's a surgery for people who don't need their hand that much. Like the job doesn't require the hand. So pay attention to this, because sometimes you can actually find it better, the full fusion or the partial fusion. I wanted the partial fusion, but I could not have it. So, as these things been said, I can show you my hand again. Take a look. Fingers, no problem. Absolutely no problem. Fist, absolutely no problem. As you can see, the shape is different. But in my case, I had some complications. I'm not mad about the mobility. I'm mad about the hand being a little bit shorter and the lack of grip and the lack of force. But I'm also, as I said, in a physiotherapy school. I'm a student in the last year. I studied the body, I had the knowledge, but sometimes that does not mean too much. You just have to listen to your body, and the healing is being done by the body, by the mind, and in time you can adapt. Why I say this? Because I had a hand which was, like I said, 2 fractures and 1 bone being dislocated with pieces from the fractured bones. They were pressing in my median nerve and in my tendons, and I don't know, by doing exercises I managed to keep that bones in one place. And I said I did hard exercises. The only thing I didn't want to do was to fall on the wrist, but everything else was normal. I didn't feel any kind of pain, nothing. And I know now that this is possible, but now with less cartilage in there, you have for sure to be I know the word does not come now. You have to know that it's less cartilage, and you have to protect it. Use smaller, how do you say, pressure. Maybe I'll show you in time some exercises. Some exercises about this, what you can do to help the body, to build the muscles back, to be in shape. But like I said, try to not get into this surgery, because it modifies you for sure. That being said, I'll be back with exercises like Terminator.